Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. It is December the 5th, and we're looking at Daniel chapter 7. Now here Daniel records a dream that he had in the first year of the reign of Belshazzar. Now Belshazzar the king has already been described as his kingdom was brought to an end, and so what Daniel is doing is he's going back in time to record a dream that he had in the first year of his reign. First he says, I saw in my vision that the four winds of heaven blew against the great sea, and the sea are the nations of the world. And four great beasts came up out of the sea. They were all different from each other. The first was like a lion but had eagle's wings. If we go to the Ishtar Gate in Babylon, we will discover that that's where the lion is. The lion is depicted on two sides of the gate with eagle's wings, and its wings were plucked off, and the beast was lifted up from the earth, and a man's heart was given to it. And that, of course, is describing the conversion of Nebuchadnezzar. A man's heart was given to it. The second beast was like a bear, and it was raised up on its side, and in its mouth were three ribs. And it was said to the beast, rise and eat much flesh. The third beast was like a leopard, with four wings like a bird, and the beast had four heads. Then Daniel saw a fourth beast, and it was dreadful and terrible and very strong indeed, and it had iron teeth. It ate, smashed everything in pieces, and stamped the leftovers with its feet. The beast had 10 horns. As Daniel looked on, he saw a little horn, which displaced 3 of the horns. The horn was full of eyes and was speaking great things. Then Daniel sees God himself, called the Ancient of Days. His garment is described as white as snow, his hair like pure wool, and his throne was like a flame of fire, and millions ministered to him, and hundreds of thousands served him. The time of judgment comes, and the books are opened. All of these beasts come before him in judgment. Then Daniel sees the Son of Man come to the Ancient of Days, and the Son of Man was given total dominion over the whole earth, over every nation and tongue. Daniel is troubled by all this, so he goes to one of the angels standing near and asks what all this means, and he is told that these four beasts are 4 kings that will arise in the earth. Then Daniel asks about the fourth beast. This last beast makes war with the saints of God. The 4 empires are Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. And the fourth kingdom is the one who in the past and in the future, under the Antichrist, will persecute the saints of God. From man's point of view, these empires are great images of precious metals. But from God's point of view, they are grotesque wild beasts of the earth. Daniel was deeply troubled by all these things, and in the next chapter Daniel records a prophecy that he sees 3 years later. In this vision, he sees by the river a ram which has 2 horns. This ram pushes north and south, and none can stand in front of him. Then Daniel sees a he-goat come from the west. He came so fast that he didn't touch the ground. The he-goat had a horn on his forehead, and the he-goat charges so fast into the ram that he broke him and stamped on him. This military force was very great and has some evil supernatural powers. He invades Israel and even causes the sacrifice to be removed from the temple. A question arises between the saints as to how long the sanctuary is defiled, and the answer is 200 to 300 days. Then Gabriel the angel is told to make this vision understood by me. Daniel is overcome by the frightfulness of his vision and is rendered unconscious. However, the angel wakes him and tells him that the ram with 2 horns was the Medes and the Persians. The Mede and the Persian Empire. The he-goat is the Greek king who we call Alexander the Great. Then the Lord explains that the prophecy then switches to the latter days, the days preceding the Messianic kingdom, and this time the mighty one is the Antichrist. He will be very clever and very powerful, and he will stand up against Christ himself. This vision was to be shut up and only revealed in the end of times. Daniel is very ill as a result of this vision for many days. He was astonished at the vision, and none could understand it, including him. Wow. It's no wonder we find these passages difficult to understand. Even Daniel himself didn't understand it all, and he found these visions to be very shocking. Now I've got my password for today. It's in verse 9 and 10 of chapter 7. I'm just going to read that for you. But before I do, this is a description of the Lord Jesus Christ, and he's going to be judging all the nations. We know from Matthew chapter 25 that Christ will judge the nations that are alive at his coming. And in verse 9 and 10 we have a description of that judgment. Let's read it. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool, and his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was said, and the books were opened. So we get an insight here. We get an insight, for example, that when the Lord Jesus sits in judgment, millions will stand before him, and hundreds of thousands will stand before him. And when the judgment is set, the books will be opened, and every man will be judged according to what's written in the books. And no man will argue about what's written in the books, because what's written in the book is written by the hand of God, an unfailing hand that always writes the truth. Now this is quite a frightening thing, isn't it? It's something that completely blows our mind, but we know that the Lord Jesus is at the centre of it, and he will judge the world in perfect equity. This is before the Messianic kingdom. This is after the tribulation. It's called the judgment of the living nations. Wow. I'm going to leave all that with you today. It's been wonderful to talk to you, and look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow. Bye for now.